Have you ever looked in the mirror one morning and thought, I'm starting to look like my own ancestor? Don't worry, you're not broken, you're just aging. Which in this world might be the weirdest kind of spiritual awakening there is. Some people say aging is graceful. Those people are liars, or 38. The truth is your knees hurt, your sleep is haunted by bathroom breaks, and your memory plays hide and seek like a bored toddler. But, and here's the twist, it doesn't mean you're done. It might mean you're finally beginning. In this video, we're not just handing out kale advice and telling you to go for walks. We're diving into the 7 strange habits that can help you age, not just longer, but better, with more peace, less nonsense, and maybe even a little joy between the ibuprofen doses, backed by science soaked in Buddhist wisdom, and served with a side of elder dark comedy. These golden habits are what keep the spark alive long after your warranty expires. Stick around for the last one. It's the weirdest, and it might just be the one that saves you. Let's begin. Part 1. Walk like you're escaping a funeral. They say walking is good for your heart. What they don't say is, it's also the fastest way to sneak past death without making eye contact. See, you don't have to jog. You don't need a Fitbit that judges your life choices. All you need is a pair of shoes, a destination that isn't your fridge, and the willingness to shuffle forward like you've still got business here. Because you do. Now let's be honest, for many people, over 60 walking doesn't feel like liberation. It feels like a creaky negotiation between gravity and regret. But the act itself, it's sacred. Buddhist monks have practiced walking meditation for centuries, not for calorie burn, but for awareness. Every step is a reminder, I am still here. I am still breathing, I am not done yet, and neither are you. Science backs it up too in case you need permission from people in lab coats. Harvard researchers found that just 30 minutes of walking a day reduces heart disease risk by 40%. That's nearly half, just by dragging your bones around the block. But this isn't just about your heart, it's about your soul. Walking gives you time to process the weirdness of life. It's movement therapy, it's motion as devotion. You remember things when you walk, songs, names, moments that slipped through the cracks of busier years? Take Helen, 76. She started walking after her husband passed. Not fast, not far, just down the street and back. At first it felt like punishment, then it felt like prayer. Now she says it's how she hears her own voice again when the grief isn't so loud. See, that's not cardio, that's resurrection. And don't get caught up in performance. This isn't the Olympics. You're not racing your neighbors unless your neighbor is 92 and talking trash. You can start with 5 minutes. Walk to the mailbox like it's Mount Everest. Rest on the porch like you've conquered something because you have. Every step says, I'm not giving up. I'm not disappearing. I still exist in this body, even if it makes weird noises now. Bonus, you sleep better. Your mood lightens. Your joints complain less. And your anxiety forgets why it showed up. And if you don't feel like walking alone, bring someone, a neighbor, a dog, a podcast that reminds you you're not the only one confused by modern life. Walking with someone you trust. That's not exercise, that's medicine with shoelaces. Or go alone and let your thoughts rise and fall like passing clouds. Let nature gossip in your ears, leaves rustling birds, heckling wind, reminding you that being alive, even achy, is still beautiful. So no, walking isn't just about getting your steps in. It's about stepping into your life again, no matter how much it's changed. Lace up, the funeral can wait. Part 2. Eat like you plan to be reincarnated. Let's be real, most people don't eat food, they negotiate with it. I deserve this cookie. It's just one slice. Salad makes me sad. But after 60, food stops being a lifestyle accessory and starts becoming either a slow medicine or a slow poison. There is no in-between. Your body's no longer forgiving. It remembers every donut you inhaled in the 80s, and it holds grudges. So here's the truth. Bomb wrapped in kale. What you eat after 60 determines whether you glide or grind your way through the next 20 years. Now don't panic. I'm not about to suggest a raw vegan life of quinoa misery and endless beet smoothies. You're not joining a cult, you're just choosing not to self-destruct through snacks. The Buddhist take, every bite is a karmic act. What you chew, you become. Eat in mindfulness, and you're not just feeding the body, you're calming the restless, aging mind. Let me introduce you to Arthur. Arthur, 81, used to live on microwave dinners and soda. He called it bachelor gourmet. That is, until he couldn't climb the stairs without swearing under his breath. His doctor gave him the usual speech, but Arthur, being stubborn, only listened when his granddaughter said, "Grandpa, I want you at my wedding." Now he grows tomatoes. He eats greens. He still misses hot dogs, but says, "I'd rather live long enough to complain about salad than die with mustard on my shirt." That's a win. Here's a simple truth. Your older body needs more nutrition, not less. It's fighting inflammation, cell breakdown, and memory glitches every day. And it can't do that, fueled by regret and crackers, so eat colorfully. Leafy greens for your blood and bones. Berries to keep the lights on upstairs. Fish nuts and olive oil to keep your joints less angry and your brain less foggy. Whole grains for slow-burning fuel, not the sugar spike and crash carnival. And drink water. No, not coffee, with a splash of water. Real water. Hydration is how your body whispers, "Thank you for not drying me out like beef jerky. Now I know what you're thinking, but I've eaten this way my whole life." Exactly. That's why your knees sound like crumpling paper. This is your plot twist, your nutritional redemption arc. And hey, you don't need perfection, you need awareness. Swap one thing, cook one meal, sit down, chew slowly, taste your food like it's your last supper and your first act of rebellion. Buddhist monks say before every meal, this food is a gift of the universe, not a punishment, not an indulgence, a gift. So the next time you reach for that bag of chips, ask yourself, am I feeding my future self or feeding the part of me that gave up? Because here's the deal, you're not just eating for energy, you're building the version of you that will either dance at your grandkids' graduation or struggle to remember their name. Eat like you're going to be reborn. Because depending on your beliefs, you just might be part 3, brain training for the end times. You ever walk into a room, forget why you're there, then just stand there like a confused time traveler. Welcome to the club. The official Brain Fog Society. Our motto. Wait. What were we talking about? Look, after 60, your brain isn't broken. It's just tired of your nonsense. It's spent decades juggling birthdays, passwords, heartbreak trivia, and where you left the remote. At some point, it needs a tune-up, not because it's failing, but because it still wants to dance. See, most people assume mental decline is inevitable. It's just aging, they say, while scrolling Facebook and microwaving their 9th meal of the week. But here's the twist. Your brain isn't a candle that burns out. It's a muscle that gets lazy and lazy. Brains get dramatic. Here's what Buddhist psychology knows and neuroscientists now confirm. Use it or lose it. The mind wants novelty, it wants challenge, it wants to wake up in the morning and do something weird. Let's take Estelle. Estelle is 79 and just took up French. Not because she's moving to Paris, but because she said, "My brain needed a hobby that wasn't worrying." She practices her verbs while walking her cat, don't ask, and swears she hasn't felt this alive in years. Her mind is sharper. Her dreams are vivid, and she says, "Merde," now instead of cursing in English elegant. Really? So what does brain exercise actually look like? Not crossword puzzles you resent. Not overpriced brain training apps. I'm talking about reading that book you've meant to start since 1998. Playing chess like it's life or death, even if you lose. Learning to play the ukulele just to confuse your grandchildren. Writing down family stories before they vanish with you. Trying stand-up comedy, even if the only audience is your cat. The goal isn't mastery, it's aliveness. The Buddhist concept of beginner's mind teaches us that staying open, curious, and humble keeps us from dying before we're dead. When you believe you already know everything, that's the first symptom of decay. And don't underestimate the power of social brain workouts either. Every conversation you have is brain yoga. Listening, remembering, responding. It's a full-body cognitive stretch, especially if the person you're talking to is hard to tolerate. That's Olympic-level Zen. In fact, studies show that seniors who maintain regular social conversations, even if it's just banter about the weather or light gossip about Bob from church, have significantly lower rates of dementia and depression. Translation: small talk sucks brain insurance. So don't wait for a mental emergency to start training. Your brain isn't on autopilot anymore. It's on a scenic route that requires attention jokes, detours, and the occasional French verb. And when the mental fog does roll in, laugh at it. Laugh at yourself. Laugh at the absurdity of forgetting your neighbor's name for the 10th time. That laughter clears more cobwebs than any vitamin. Your mind doesn't want to retire. It wants to wake up, put on mismatched socks, and surprise you. Let it. Part 4. Strength training. Because falling down in public isn't funny after 70, let's get something out of the way. Your body isn't betraying you. It's just renegotiating the terms of your existence. One day you bend down to tie your shoe and realize your hamstrings filed for retirement. Suddenly you're making old man noises getting out of a chair you used to leap out of like a Broadway dancer on caffeine. But here's the truth you didn't ask for. Weakness is more dangerous than aging. Because it's not the wrinkles that send people into assisted living, it's the falls. That's right, not dying, falling, not being too old, just being too weak to stand back up. Enter strength training. Yes, the thing you thought was just for sweaty gym rats in midlife crisis. Bros. But guess what? It might be. The only thing standing between you and a future full of panic buttons, stair lifts, and orthopedic regret. Now, before you run or hobble for the exit, you don't need a gym. You don't need weights. You don't even need pants if you're working out in your living room. You need gravity and commitment, and a body willing to meet itself halfway. Take Carl. Carl is 83. He started doing wall push-ups every morning because, in his words, I'm tired of grunting every time I sit on the toilet. Now he squats deeper than his grandkids' attention spans and carries his own groceries just to show off. Carl doesn't want six-pack abs. He wants dignity. That's real strength. Here's the Buddhist twist. Discipline isn't suffering. It's remembering what matters. Each rep is not punishment. It's prayer. A vote for mobility. A resistance band becomes a meditation bell if you breathe through the burn with presence. Here's how to start wall push-ups because you've leaned on worse things in life. Chair squats, aka practicing how to stand up when no one's around to help leg lifts while watching Netflix, multitasking at its finest. Water bottles as weights, hydration. Plus gains, spiritual flexing. No fancy programs, no yelling trainers named Chad. Just movement repeated humble healing. Now, you might say, but I'm too old for this. Respectfully, nonsense. If you can get out of bed, you can push something. If you can sit down, you can stand up. If you can still roll your eyes, you've got enough core strength to start. The science is ruthless and beautiful here. Just 2 strength sessions a week. Reduce your risk of falls by 30 to 40%. That's not just a number. That's a future where you still reach your own shelves, still bathe yourself, still walk unassisted to the fridge in the middle of the night, just because you can. And here's the punchline, it's not about muscles, it's about freedom. So if you've ever looked at a dumbbell and thought, hard pass, try looking at it like it's the key to one more year of independence, one more walk around the block without a cane, one more slow dance, one more stubborn, beautiful act of rebellion against becoming fragile. Your bones are listening, your muscles are waiting. And the floor. The floor doesn't care how you feel. The floor is always there. So get stronger. Not because it's easy, but because sitting down without drama is a kind of enlightenment too. Part 5. Friendship. Isn't a bonus, it's a life support machine. Let me tell you a dark little secret about aging that no one warns you about. It's not the body that quits first, it's the phone calls. One day your social calendar is full. The next, you're asking Alexa what day it is, just to make conversation. Don't get me wrong, solitude can be sacred, but chronic loneliness. That's not enlightenment, that's slow emotional suffocation. Here's the cruel irony. The older you get, the more people disappear, some by choice, some by death, some by passive ghosting that starts with "let's catch up soon" and ends with silence, and suddenly it's just you, a coffee mug, and 35-year-old memories playing on repeat. But here's the truth. Your need for connection didn't retire just because you did. Buddhist wisdom calls Sangha spiritual community one of the 3 pillars of awakening. You can meditate, eat leaves, and lift dumbbells all you want. But without people, you're not growing. You're just aging like forgotten fruit. Let's talk about Margaret. Margaret lost her husband, 2 best friends, and most of her will to talk to humans. For months, she floated through life like a polite ghost, pleasant on the outside, but hollow inside. Then she joined a senior drumming circle, not because she liked drums, but because she was tired of being invisible. Now she shows up twice a week banging on a conga, like her life depends on it, which in a way it does. Margaret says the laughter and rhythm brought her back to life, not all at once, but enough science backs her up. Loneliness increases risk of death by 26%. It raises blood pressure, weakens immunity, increases dementia risk. In short, it's more dangerous than smoking, and you can't quit loneliness with a patch. On the flip side, connected elders live longer, heal faster, and laugh more, even when their hips sound like broken furniture. Conversation is medicine. Touch is therapy. Eye contact is soul glue. And yet so many people over 60 live in quiet emotional starvation because they think it's too late to make new friends, too old to be interesting, too tired to try, too afraid to be rejected. Here's the Ramdas truth. That's ego talking, and ego is boring. You don't need 100 friends. You need one person who sees you, wrinkles weird opinions, mismatched socks and all, and doesn't flinch. That could be a neighbor, a book club, a grandchild, the guy you keep seeing at the park who walks his parrot on a leash. True story. The point is, you reach out, you initiate, you risk awkwardness, you show up, because if you don't, you're gambling with your spirit. If you're tech-savvy, use it FaceTime. Join a virtual choir, comment on a YouTube video, and connect with someone across the world who feels just as lost and awake as you do. If you're not tech-savvy good, walk outside, wave at someone. Join a group that meets in person. Say yes to one invite this month, even if you don't want to. Especially if you don't want to. Because here's the Buddhist punchline: your life isn't measured in heartbeats. It's measured in moments of real connection. So, call that old friend. Say hi to the weird lady at the bus stop. Start the awkward conversation. Because nothing will keep you young and human like someone who makes you laugh, cry, and curse the world in good company. Forget vitamins. Friendship is your emotional multivitamin, and honey, your soul is low on iron. Part 6. Sleep is a religious experience. If you do it right. There comes a certain age when sleep stops being restful and starts feeling like a suspicious negotiation with the universe. You go to bed at 9 and wake up at 1:12, 2:47, 3:09, and 4:23. Just in time to debate whether it's worth trying again or just admitting defeat and staring at the ceiling like a monk in crisis. Look, if you're over 60 and sleeping through the night without bathroom breaks, congratulations, you're either enlightened or embalmed. But here's the bigger truth. Sleep isn't optional. It's sacred. And the older you get, the more it decides whether you age with grace or fall apart like a cheap lawn chair. When you were younger, sleep was indulgent. Now it's repair. Your brain literally takes out the trash while you're unconscious, clearing out beta amyloid, the gunk associated with Alzheimer's. Skip sleep long enough, and your brain starts acting like a hoarder. Confused, grumpy, slow, and full of things it should have thrown out years ago. And yet, we treat sleep like it's negotiable, like it's something for later. Why? Because modern life has made us addicted to being on. We scroll in bed. We eat dinner at 10 p.m. We drink coffee at 5 like we're still in college. We fall asleep to crime documentaries and wonder why we're anxious. Even in Buddhist monasteries, sleep is treated like a ritual, Lights out early, no phones, no sugar before bed, and silence, real silence. Why? Because rest is how you return to your true self, the one who isn't performing or striving or remembering where they put their damn glasses. Let's talk about Dennis. Dennis is 74. Couldn't sleep for more than 3 hours at a time. Tried pills, white noise machines, even sleeping in a recliner. What worked? A teapot, a notebook, and a rule: no screens after sunset. He made a ritual out of it: chamomile tea, writing down 3 things he was grateful for, and humming old jazz songs to his dog until they both passed out. Now Dennis sleeps like a cat in a sunbeam, and his blood pressure dropped 20 points. Because here's the punchline: your body wants to rest, but your habits won't let it. So change the ritual. Dim the lights after dinner. No phones in bed. Your ex isn't texting you, and the news will still be terrible in the morning. Try a warm bath, light stretching, or just staring into the void like an aging philosopher. Treat your bed like a temple, not a waiting room for anxiety. Sleep isn't laziness, it's cellular healing, it's hormonal reset, it's emotional laundry day. Without it, you're just a grumpy zombie in orthopedic shoes. And the Buddhist truth, letting go, is the final act of wisdom. Sleep is practice for death, but without all the drama, it's where you stop controlling and start trusting that the world will keep spinning even if you're not watching. So honor sleep. Don't fight it. Don't delay it. Surrender like an old monk in a soft robe who's finally too tired to argue with reality. Because tomorrow is long, and your body, the only one you've got, needs you to shut up and lay down like you matter. Part 7. Stop giving a damn. About 95% of things. By the time you hit 60, you should be a black belt and not giving a damn. But somehow many of us are still out here collecting anxieties like they're vintage stamps, worried about what the neighbors think, worried if our outfit says elegant or mild confusion, worried about wrinkles clutter adult children, and what Cheryl from the HOA said about your lawn flamingos. Let's pause and ask the big spiritual question: why? Why are we spending our golden years polishing our personas like we're still trying to get picked for prom? You want to know the real secret to healthy aging: emotional subtraction. Cut the crap. Let it rot. Walk away from 95% of the nonsense and watch your cortisol levels plummet like an awkward first date. There's a Buddhist saying, attachment is the root of suffering. They weren't just talking about clinging to people or possessions. They meant your identity, your pride, your need to win arguments on the internet. Take Eleanor. Eleanor used to care deeply about everything. She was a PTA president, HOA enforcer, and captain of neighborhood gossip. Then she turned 70 and realized she didn't actually enjoy any of it. Now she wears leopard print leggings, talks to birds, and says whatever the hell she wants at family gatherings. Her blood pressure dropped. Her laugh got louder, and people now describe her as eccentrically terrifying. Eleanor is free. You don't have to become a hermit or abandon society. You just need to ask, is this worth my peace? Most things aren't guilt. Let it go. Status, who's keeping score? Drama, you're not on that show anymore. Here's a radical idea. Be joyfully, unapologetically selective. Say no to people who drain you. Ignore trends. Delete apps that make you feel like you're aging wrong. Wear clothes that feel like pajamas but make you look like someone who's seen things. This isn't apathy, it's clarity. Even in Buddhist monastic life, monks aren't out here pleasing everyone. They walk, they eat mindfully, and when someone gossips about them, they bow and sweep the floor because the floor always needs sweeping. And the drama never ends. If you want energy in your 70s and beyond, stop leaking it into situations you can't control and people who wouldn't visit you in the hospital. Instead, redirect it into things that actually nourish you. Laughing with someone who gets your weirdness. Sitting in silence with a good cup of tea. Rereading a book you loved at 30, talking to yourself without shame. The world wants you tired, bitter, obedient. Instead, be unpredictable, be peaceful. Be someone who wakes up and says, I'm too old for this nonsense and too alive to pretend otherwise. Detachment isn't about not caring. It's about caring deeply for the right things. Your peace, your breath, your one fragile, beautiful, not yet finished life. So let the 95% go. You'll be shocked how light your body feels when your soul stops carrying what it was never meant to hold. So here we are. 8 strange habits, one older body and a brain that's still asking, did I leave the stove on, or was that yesterday? You've walked like a monk with sore knees, eaten like your reincarnation depends on it, lifted soup cans like they were sacred relics, and maybe you've stopped giving a damn about things that never deserved your stress in the first place. That's not self-help. That's survival. That's spiritual rebellion. Aging isn't just about sagging skin or vanishing invitations. It's the ultimate unmasking. Everything false starts falling off ego status, pretending to like kale. And what's left you raw, real wise. And finally, free enough to laugh at it all. Buddhism says freedom doesn't come from gaining. It comes from letting go. Let go of rushing, of impressing, of needing to be anything but awake. Pick one habit, just one walk. Breathe. Call someone who gets you. Or sit in silence and realize you're not done, not by a long shot. The world needs elders who don't flinch, who sit like mountains and grin like tricksters, who know that aging isn't a curse, it's a calling. So age like a sage, not a cynic, not a victim. A beautifully strange spiritual badass, with bad knees and a good heart. Let's begin again.